Hey everybody, welcome to this week's training video. We're going to look at a bunch of plays this week, talk about intentional grounding, false starts, catch, fumble, a few other odds and ends. Same intro as always, not out to embarrass anybody, or no officials, crews, associations, players, or teams. All just to get better. So let's get right to it. So the first couple of plays here, we're going to talk intentional grounding. So if we look at Rule 752, D and E, they talk about passes intentionally thrown to basically save yardage. D is a pass intentionally thrown into an area not occupied by an eligible offensive receiver. And then E is a pass intentionally thrown incomplete to save loss of yardage or to conserve time. We're going to just be talking about conserving yardage here. What you don't see in the rule is what you have on Saturday and Sunday that everyone's used to is there is no way to legally intentionally ground the ball. There's no tackle box or pocket. Throwing the ball beyond the line of scrimmage has no meaning in high school football. So as a referee, this is a referee call and a referee flag, crew call, I should say. Referees usually need help on this, but let's look at a couple examples here and talk through when you would and would not call it. So here's our first one. Quarterback rolls, tosses it. Looks like maybe it hits the back stake, and then the referee's throwing a flag for grounding. Let's back it up here. So you can see here the quarterback is rolling. Okay, right here, the defender may or may not be hitting his arm. Let's just assume for a second he does not. Okay, the quarterback is shuffling it out. Now there's a receiver there, number 6, I believe, about on the 46-yard line. But this quarterback is pretty clearly flinging the ball out of bounds, not at that receiver. It lands about 5 yards away from him, but they're so close to each other. This is easy to support as intentional grounding. Now, if that defender is actually hitting his arm as he throws, and referees, that's why you get the big bucks here to make that judgment call, then that could save him from intentional grounding if you determine that that action is what caused the ball to take that path. It's tough to tell with this film. This referee comes in, throws a flag, which tells me he judged that no, he was intentionally grounding it. It wasn't the contact to the arm that caused it. Now, referees, remember, this is a spot foul. Get that flag in the right place. I think this one's about 5 yards back, and frankly, I don't know if he came up and adjusted his flag or not. So again, if his arm's not getting hit, he's just heaving that ball out of bounds, clearly to intentionally ground the ball. That is a good call. So this second play is a little bit different. This is one where I would like to see us not have intentional grounding. Quarterback's going to roll towards us. About to get hit, throws the ball, and you could see there, lands pretty close to a receiver, about 20 or so yards away. It's conceivable he was throwing it to him. It's certainly not egregiously grounded. And let's talk about this one also referee-wise. Referee, you've got your quarterback here. He's throwing it with number 51, it looks like, about to push him, hit him. You need to keep your eyes locked there. So you're giving that ball up. And you're going to need help from your wing down the field here to tell you whether or not there was a receiver in the area. I don't think the provision of judging this quarterback was intentionally throwing an incomplete pass to save yardage. It's too close. That's, I think, being a little bit too technical here. It'll be hard for us to stay consistent if we're getting that much in the weeds on judging this. So on this one, this is not grounding. That is legal. And if the wing receiver, or the wing official here thought it might be, you get on your penalty whistle, you come running into the referee to alert them that you might have grounding. And then the referee picks a spot, drops the flag. But referee, I want you keeping your focus there on that action right there around the quarterback. Don't want to miss a roughing the passer here. So not grounding on this play. So let's talk about false starts for a second. We're going to see 2 plays here with unusual actions by the offense. So Rule 717B talks about it as a false start if any act is clearly intended to cause B to encroach. And here we're going to look at a couple examples where I can't come up with any other explanation why the offense would do what they're doing other than if they're trying to draw the other team off. So let's just roll this one. Okay, now I'm not saying this isn't encroachment on the defense, but look at this guy going in motion. I got to tell you, that's the first time I've ever seen someone fake taking a handoff before the ball was even snapped. Now, in this case, it's simultaneous with them jumping. There must have been a hard count. I don't see any head bob by the quarterback. I mean, he might have taken a slight move forward. I'm not sure it's much. Of course, referee, if you deem that it is, that's a false start. But I could tell you, if this action had happened just a little earlier and that running back comes by and attempts to take a handoff and they encroach, that would be a false start. That should be called. There's no other reason why he is doing that other than to try and draw them off. So something to be aware of. That one is quite unusual. So this next one is, well, this is one, unfortunately, that I've seen before. I know most of you have too, where the typical punt formation, and the entire offense at one time decides to slap their thighs right there. There is no football reason to do that. The only reason they're doing it is to try and draw the defense to encroach, which they don't here. And nothing was done. But for sure, if they do, I would expect that we would be blowing this dead and calling it a false start. There's just no other reason to do it. And in this case, I would as a crew, if you're not calling it, which you could, defense doesn't have to react to call a false start, but if you don't, for sure you're talking to the coach right after this saying, Coach, you guys do that again, it's going to be a false start. There's no other reason to do that other than they're trying to draw them to encroach. So this is not a false start, this play here. But clearly we have a problem. Okay, and the crew got it. Good job. Both of the backs go in motion, and at the snap, you can't have two people both moving. That is an illegal shift. And this is a live ball foul, not a dead ball foul. So the crew correctly lets it play out because they're not simulating the snap. They're simply accidentally both going in motion. So again, this is a 5-yard penalty, illegal shift. It's a live ball foul, and you let it play out. If either of these backs had simulated action at the snap or you thought they were, then you could have a dead ball false start. And if they move and say 12 gets set there, well, they both get set and then one goes in motion, they're legal, right? It's not a foul until they have not set at the snap. So again, they both have a chance to both stop, have the entire team stationary again, and then have someone go in motion. But here, clearly a foul. Good job. So we're going to look at a couple plays now, which are incomplete passes that we want to make sure that we don't call catch fumble. We don't have the same, again, high school, it's not the same as college, not the same as the pros with these catch rules that seem to change a lot. But what we still want to make sure that we're not giving a cheap turnover. We want to make sure that if we are ruling a fumble, it is absolutely a fumble. And here we got a long pass. Receiver doesn't really ever have the ball. Back judge properly calls it incomplete. And that's a good job. And I don't know if this one was particularly difficult to rule on. But we don't want to get so caught up that we're thinking, oh, well, he kind of had it. Maybe he had it long enough. No, this is not even close. I don't want us even thinking catch fumble here. This is a good ruling of an incomplete pass. And when in doubt on things like this, we're going to go incomplete pass. And we don't want to get fooled. So good job. In this play, here's another example of, again, clearly an incomplete pass. We do not, under any circumstances, want to get fooled by these and rule them a fumble. And the crew got it. But my point being, just when in doubt, it's always incomplete. We don't ever want to give a cheap turnover. Good focus. Good job. So a lot of teams now are running a play like the one shown here, where the quarterback gets the snap and rather quickly flips it up like that to a back coming in motion. It's intended to be a forward pass, and it clearly is a forward pass. Maybe you've talked about it in the pregame, but if not, referees and wings, we have to identify these when they happen. If that hits the ground, it's an incomplete pass. Not a fumble, or a muff, not a backwards pass. And so they're doing it on purpose so that they drop it, it's incomplete. So it's just something to be on top of. If you're caught by surprise, you might get deer in the headlights and make a mistake and rule it a live ball. So more and more teams are doing it. Let's be aware. So in this play, I just want to talk about goal line mechanics real quick. You can see we're snapping the ball from the 8-yard line, which means the wings they don't have to sprint to the goal line from here, but they should be leading the runner to the goal line for sure. By the way, referee here, I really like your position. The depth and width are good. I'm seeing a lot of referees who are not lining up deep and wide enough. And when you're too close to the play, especially the way offenses are nowadays, you're going to miss a whole bunch of stuff. You got to keep your vision wide. So this is about where you should be. Even a little wider is okay. I mean, it all depends on the formation. Just make sure you can see your keys. Put yourself in a position to officiate the play. So the run's going to come towards us here. And you can see the wing at the top starts moving towards the goal line. And that's fine, leading it and looking at players, and that's a good job. On the near side, we get a bit of a late start, it looks like, and we get beaten to the goal line. And so we don't want that to happen. I know it's coming towards you, but you got to beat this run. There is plenty of time. Lead them to the goal line, get there, and once you're there, you can back up if you have to. But we should already be there when he crosses. And then my other thing here, don't turn your back on players. You got players of opposite colors there. You got a white and a blue jersey. They're flying out of bounds. Don't turn your back on them. Who knows what they're doing back there, okay? So let's keep that in mind, especially it looks like this is a 4-person crew. There's no back judge. You need to keep your eyes on them. So again, beat them to the goal line and look at them as you signal touchdown. So final play of the video this week. We're just going to talk about the mechanics with the 40-second clock. I've had a couple questions about it. From what I hear, everything's going really well, so good job to everybody out there. When the play ends, as you know, you hold up your hand, unless you're killing the clock for some reason. But then let's not forget our typical practice. We got to show each other the down, right? The last thing we want as a crew is to miss a down. We want to always just show the next down to our crewmates. And so let's look at the line judge here. This is exactly what we want to do. So we got to run. Good job trailing the play. Gets there, hand up, and then right there, gives the referee the next down. Critical because it looks to me like this is going to be about a yard short of the first down or close like that. So as a referee, you're looking at your line judge here. So, hand up in the air, which is our correct mechanic for saying play's over. Let's start the 40-second play clock, and then boom, signal the next down to the referee, who then relays it to the headlines, who then can get the box moving to the next down. That's what we want to do every play. Let's not get so caught up in holding our hand up that we don't then relay the next down to everybody. As a crew, we all need to do that every play, or someone's going to lose a down, and that's, as an official, one of the worst things we can do. So one more look at it. This is just really good wing mechanics. Not in too much of a hurry. That's really nice work. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. As always, feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Have fun out there.